Welcome back. In this video, we're going to continue talking about section 1.5, which is solving inequalities. And really, there's going to be no new skills that are introduced. We've just ramped up the difficulty of the problems slightly. Okay? So, I have three more examples here. We're going to do the same thing as we did with those last three that I worked on in the previous video. I'm going to give a little less detail than I did in the first one, just because we should have more familiarity with the topic. Okay, but so let's solve for x and then graphically show what the interval is. Okay, so we have, again, I'll call, we have 1, 2, and 3 here. So let's start with 1. Okay. Again, we want to solve so that x is alone, and you treat the inequality just as like an equal sign. Okay. Except with one major revision: if I divide by a negative number, the interval switches. Okay. So that's the only difference. So to solve this, I could divide both sides by -2. Okay. I divide both sides by -2, and what I'm left with is 3x minus 5. And then I divide by a negative number, so the inequality switches. Okay. Then I add 5 to both sides. I get 3x is less than negative. 3x is less than positive 3, which means that if I divide by 3 on both sides, I get that x is less than 1. Okay, so we just had some multiplication here in number 1, which made it a little bit different. But here's our answer. Again, you could substitute in 0 and see that you'd get -2 times -5, which is positive 10, is greater than 4. That's true, and so it looks like we've got the correct interval, and we make the small number line here, x being less than 1. Here's 0, here's 1, there's an open dot at 1, and then everything less than 1 is shaded in. Okay, great. So that's number 1. Number 2, I've got some stuff going on here. Okay, generally, you can do this multiple ways. You can distribute at the beginning, or you can leave that out of it. Okay, there are multiple ways to solve this. One is not more correct than the other. One just might make more sense to you than the other one. All right, so first step would be for me to subtract 6 from both sides. Okay, so I subtract 6 from both sides. I get -5 times 1 minus x is less than or equal to -1. Okay, I divide by -5 on both sides, and I'm left with 1 minus x. I divided by a negative number, so the sign flips there. Okay, 1 divided by 5, -1 divided by -5 is positive 1/5. Okay, I subtract 1 from both sides. I get -x is greater than or equal to 1/5 minus 1. You can think of as 1/5 minus 5/5. And so that's -4/5. Okay, and then I can divide by -1 on both sides, and I get x is less than or equal to, because the sign flips again, 4/5. Okay? That was actually probably a harder way than if you distributed the -5, but oh well, we still got there. X less than or equal to 4/5. Okay, and what that looks like on a little number line here is that here's 0, here's 4/5. Okay. It's a closed circle there, and then less. Okay, great. Now we have one where the numbers are in the middle. but we've got some division going on. So you multiply by 2 to every part of it, okay? So that gets rid of that 2, and then we have negative 2 is less than or equal to 3 minus 5x, which is less than or equal to 18. Okay, I subtract 3 from both sides, from all sides. I get negative 5 is less than or equal to negative 5x, which is less than or equal to 15. And then I divide by negative 5. Here, negative 5, negative 5, negative 5. And when I divide by a negative number, all of the inequalities switch. So I get 1 is greater than or equal to x, which is greater than or equal to negative 3. Okay? And you can flip that if you flip the numbers, if you prefer another way. And sorry about my dog in the background if you can hear him. This is the same as negative 3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 1. Okay? They're both the same thing. All right? And so if we make our small number line, here, apologies about my terrible number line, we've got negative 3, negative 3, 1, here's 0. It's less than or equal to, and so if we shade in those values and we shade in the area in between. Okay, so great. So that is inequalities. We took a sort of a second step there and made it a little bit harder. And so here's your practice. Here's your turn. Okay, so it's going to be like that third example that I just had. Okay. Make sure to switch the inequalities when you divide by a negative number.